Now, going to our next session, Future Frequencies, the Future of Music in Web3. I would like to call upon our moderator, Gayatri Guliani, founder and CEO of Kilos Entertainment, Shatatru Sarkar, founder and executive director, Metastar Media Private Limited, Karthik Shah, music composer, producer and songwriter,
Let's have a round of applause, everyone.
Rohan Nisho Jain, founder and CEO of Madverse Music.
Lovely. Good afternoon, all. I hope everybody's like awake, nice and awake. We're going to be having a very interesting, fascinating discussion on Web3 and music together. So, welcome to today's panel on the fascinating intersection of music and Web3 technologies. The music industry has long been shaped by powerful intermediaries, record labels, streaming platforms, and distributors. But with the rise of Web3 technologies, we are witnessing a disruption, a dawn of new era where decentralizing, blockchain, and tokenization are poised to empower artists like never before. So here are some successful music examples, some research I've been able to do, is that the King of Leon, the band released their When You See Yourself on NFT, offering special perks like the front row concert. In India, artists like Kumar Sanu, Ilayaraja, Neha Kakkar, Sonu Nigam have launched their own NFTs. So allow me to introduce our amazing panel today. So allow me to introduce Karthik Shah. Karthik Shah is a music producer, composer, and AI creator for movies, ads, and trailers. He has composed several trailers and anthems for OTT platforms like Netflix and Prime. He is the founder and one half of one of the most popular fusion music duo in India, Mati Bani. Wow. Mati Bani amplifies the grassroots level of folk musicians of India by giving them a global platform using new age collaborations. He was the first artist in India to start remote collaborations across the world in 2012 and till now have worked with over 300 musicians. That's amazing over the internet. His favorite passion is discovering rare sounds and traveling and recording street musicians in favorite city Berlin. He is currently ventured into creating short films and commercial using generative AI tools and thinks generative AI is biggest disruption for musicians. Welcome, Karthik.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to introduce Shatadru Sarkar. With 20 years of experience in Indian music and entertainment industries, Shatadru has led teams at Indian music majors such as Saregama, Times Music, working across verticals such as A&R, digital and publishing. He is currently the founder and executive director of Metastar Media, a media tech startup leveraging cutting-edge immersive technology and Web 2 and Web 3 advancements to create direct-to-fan ecosystem for artists. He's also an advisor to multiple music companies. Music is his passion, of course, Shatadru, and he loves exploring emerging trends in entertainment technology, in entertainment space, be it VR, Web 3, and gamification. And we have Rohan Jain, who's specially flown down from Delhi, and I believe you have a hard stop as well to catch a flight. So he is the founder and CEO of Madverse Music, India's first label service platform democratizing artists' growth and centralizing monetization. Welcome all, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
To begin, I think what I would like to actually start off is the understanding of how is Web3 and music collaborated, and how can artists benefit, and what's the whole value chain system, which actually drives that. I'm putting this all together so that we can have more meaningful in a limited time that we have. And what is the safest way for an artist and for the music creators and the complete value chain, basically, which you think? So it will be great from a simplistic way to explain how this is integrated and can be integrated in the future. Start with you, Shatatru, and then we can.
So I think people should first understand blockchain technology to understand its applications with music. Web3, I feel, is an umbrella that encompasses a lot of applications. There is blockchain, NFTs, immersive experiences. How does it apply to music? Is I think the essence of Web3 is bridging the gap between the creator and the user, right? Going direct to fan. And that is the new trend in the music business as well. There are companies that are exploring how to bridge that gap. Currently, today, if you look at the ecosystem, you have the creator, then you have a music label, then you have the distribution services, streaming, and then you have the end user. I think what Web3 is trying to do is, and so, labels are already been sort of replaced by distributors. And I think what Web3 is trying to do is, again, also replace that distributor and allow the creator to go directly to the fan.
I think building on to that, earlier, if you go 20 years behind in the history, we used to, as a fan, stand in line to get, access to our favorite artist CDs or cassettes or whatever we can get hands on. But in the last 2 decades, with streaming era coming into the picture, the artist-fan relation has been, filled with a lot of friction, as he himself said, right? So I think with Web3, that ownership of between artists and fans is coming back now. At least fan can own something that is very crucial to its artist, and continue to retain that. And I think the added benefit of a blockchain is that it's again sellable in the secondary market, which with simple contract and so many things around that it enables monetization not only to the artist one time, but also consecutively whenever the piece of that is sold in the secondary market. So yeah.
So Karthik, you're a music producer, So why will the fans choose Web3, and how different it's done than the current system? And from an artist perspective, as a music composer perspective, what are your views on that?
So it's a good question. Is we have been musicians, and what we do is we create art which is available on streaming platforms. People can see us in live concerts. What I also want to learn more about Web3. The same is with what's happening as a movement in AI can also happen in Web3 if people are more aware about it. I think it's just that as musicians, we have less information about the entire system. However, the idea of we creating something specifically which has no distribution service or which goes directly to the fan, like a collector's item piece of music, which people can buy using, different NFTs or different currencies, whatever is there in the chain. I think that is a very exciting prospect for us. But in this world where we are used to Google Wallets and GPay and stuff, how is it that we can enable our fans to first understand what that NFT does and what it is? I personally feel it's not for the masses. Like if you have 10,000 fans, you can definitely direct some of them for that right now in India. But as you mentioned that Kings of Leon released something, and somebody which has a following and where the understanding of the blockchain is much more than what it is here in India, it becomes probably easier for them to place it that way. So I think to achieve a place where our fans will directly go and buy a music track or anything, like you create an artwork or something, is still a little in the future. That's what I feel.
So, what you mentioned about Kings of Leon, and a couple of someone dropping an NFT. A lot of that happened when there was a lot of hype around NFTs, right? There was a hype phase. Let's face it. It died, that hype died. There is still, of course, I think blockchain as a technology is here to stay. But for Web3 to sustain, there has to be a compelling reason why you need to shift to a Web3 blockchain model versus the traditional model. I personally, we have dabbled with NFTs. I work with artists that have released NFTs and art and music. I still haven't seen that compelling reason for mass adoption. It's good for maybe like a one-off project, side hustle, like I say, but for serious adoption, I still haven't seen that real reason that why should a fan base, set up a crypto wallet, transact in crypto, and buy an NFT as opposed to the traditional business distribution, the usual business that happens. So I think it's still early days.
It's an
I
early
think
stage.
so.
Rohan?
I think one important aspect, which is I still believe is untapped, is the artist-fan engagement in Web3. So, for example, like a lot of fans like to play with their artist music, make remix out of it, cover songs out of it, extract certain sample or a vocal out of it. But in the current Web2 format, the tracing of that particular sample or a remix is hard, and like the rights holder doesn't get that, monetization or even the right, traceability of that. So I think using Web3, we can actually leverage that, let fans play with the music as much as they want, remix, covers, or collaborate, whatever. But wherever it's being played, that particular IP can be traced. So Web3 does play a very really important role in fan artist engagement that is still, I think,
So
untapped.
there's a lot of transparency.
Yeah.
I mean, as opposed to the traditional music where a certain label kind of gets on board and the artists are, still wondering. It's more in terms of from word of mouth or something. So in this scenario, where are the barriers or the challenges you think? That how far are we, in terms of, let's say, if we were to look at a blue sky down the line in, let's say, 2 years or 3 years and everything, but there are certain barriers that one goes through. I think it's the awareness. I think it's one part, and two, I think you pointed out compelling reasons. But apart from that, what are the barriers or challenges you think from an artist perspective, from you being a provider perspective, a label perspective, Shatadri?
So I think the barrier is not with the creator of the music or the distributor. What matters in this ecosystem finally is the user, right? Artists can release as many NFTs that they want. An NFT platform can put out as many NFTs as they want, but ultimately, who's gonna buy that, right? So that is that a compelling reason, and I think the barrier is educating. I think just adoption to Web3, adoption to crypto. In India, it's still a gray area, and why, like I said, that compelling reason that do I need to set up a wallet, put crypto in, and then transact with that? If a business transaction can be done otherwise in the traditional format, like Karthik mentioned today, GPay is easy, right? I can take out my phone, one click, done, right? Fiat. Right? What is the compelling reason to replace that with a crypto transaction to buy something? Right? So I think those are the barriers is at the user end, is to first awareness, and then, why this way and not the traditional way.
Rohan?
Yeah, I think mass adoption is the biggest challenge. Like even if today I have some NFTs or crypto, whatever in my hand, but if it's not sellable or it's not tradable in other ecosystem that I live or exist in, then it's of no use. Like even today, if I go and buy the favorite crypto of mine or anything, it should be tradable. Like that's where the historically we also died on that end. Right? NFT usage died because earlier NFTs were selling because the supply demand thing, like the demand was too high and the supply was too low. But then the supply became so huge that demand was not that much. But then if you have to coexist the supply and demand in this ecosystem, then the mass adoption has to come. The Starbucks of the world, the McDonald's of the world have to start accepting those, as a form of currency or in some form. Like the transaction should be done. Like that's how Web2 also came into the play. Like music, like you can call about currency, or today we are moving towards digital token like USDT in US. the government has to start actually enforcing it on that level. But I think till the government start enforcing it, but because of the lack of regulations, we always gonna be it's gonna be a challenge.
But that's always the trick, right? The entire blockchain philosophy is that it should be unregulated. So that's always going to
Yeah,
be.
so I think that uh, the fear that whether this is volatile enough, because all what we've been fed is blockchain gir gaya, half ho gaya, this is what we know. So when we're talking about buy something using that, so first impression for a normal fan or anybody who wants to buy will be why are they doing this, whereas rummy ads and all that are playing on IPL, no problem, those literally the gambling ads. So I think, and also the tax thing, like 30% tax is something which is like a non-starter for anything, right? So what we have been fed is something where we cannot have our normal song come out and tell people like, okay, जो आप stream करते थे वो आप इससे लो. I think the artists also have to understand that it needs to have a layer of not just the song, it needs to have a layer of what he's providing, probably a metaverse or something, where they are forced to actually check a new thing out, and they might be able to, go beyond the GPay thing and say, okay, I can probably dive deeper into this. So I think it has to be like how a magician performs. He's doing magic, he's doing stand-up, he's performing tricks. So I think the musicians also have to come to a platform where it's not just about songs anymore. It's like the things that people can experience digitally using VR headsets. With the AI coming up, people can generate visuals on the spot. So I think in the future, obviously, maybe 2 years down the line, we might not be so, it won't be a darker talk about crypto, because I think the future will be this. People want transparency. I think that's the baseline. Like he's saying that I can actually see if I've sold a song to someone and he has sold it to someone else, is easily recorded there. It's like the Sat Bara of property, right? Like everything
Absolutely.
is mentioned in when you are buying a property.
Transparency
Something like
is
that.
there.
The transparency is important. So I think the future leads there, but Shatadru and Rohan has to help us get there quicker.
Yes. Okay, one last one is in what ways can Web3 technologies help artists regain control over their work and intellectual property?
Well, smart contracts, ownership, right? In essence, see, like I was saying earlier, that theoretically there are a lot of use cases, right? An artist can retain their rights when they're selling directly to their fan base and they're not going through an intermediary. They can capture rights, ownership in a smart contract, theoretically, right? But we need to see is if that's practically implementable in the music industry, in the artist's life. Him selling 5 songs to 5 fans is not his business, right? He cannot live on that, right? Ultimately, his business will be dealing with distribution platforms, dealing with record labels, dealing with other key players in the industry who may not be Web3 friendly at the moment, right? So I think theoretically, yeah, a lot is possible. Smart contracts, retention of copyrights. Retention of copyrights can also happen without an NFT, right? An artist can decide that that is a business deal. Depend on between the artist and whoever he's dealing with. I'm sure you have done deals on paper contracts, Web2 space where you've retained your copyrights, right? So again, comes back to my original point: is what is that compelling reason to you're already doing that?
We
thing.
own all
Yeah.
copyrights of
Right.
our songs. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
right? So also where I feel is, the NFT, like I was telling you earlier, Gayatri, is that, Web3 is still a broad umbrella, right? There are other areas of Web3 that are doing well. Immersive experiences, VR, metaverse, not necessarily connected with crypto, right? those spaces are also evolving. There's solid scope for fan engagement zones, immersive spaces to, for artists to engage with their fans, to do virtual concerts. That is also Web3, right? Yeah, Web3 is not restricted to selling NFTs and putting, smart contract on a blockchain. So I think, the other facets of Web3, which are also doing well, not necessarily stagnant at the moment, like the NFT businesses. And I think those are the spaces that a lot of artists are also looking at. And that's where they're actually seeing a lot of success. Travis Scott, $20 million for one concert, that is a Web3
Amazing.
miracle,
Yes.
right? So,
Yeah. Rohan?
I think I'm going to give a real life example. I'm sure you must have heard about Suno.ai. Those kind of all AI companies got sued recently because they used copyrighted music to train their modules for AI and without even taking license for it. So that would always be a problem going forward as well, right? Because the copyright, as it's like you said, right, the copyright itself doesn't hold an IP. Or so I think the greatest solution to that would be if that every copyright of music is held in an IP format in a blockchain, and then you can continue to use and train many more AI models around it, and the rights holder would always be compensated regardless of its usage. So with AI becoming more and more prominent around, I think we're going to see much more usage, like from deep tech to a lot of AI usage coming around, right? But if that every rights or copyright is attached to a blockchain, then you can easily trace it. You can keep making 100 songs out of one scratch, but the original rights holder would always be compensated.
There will be a repeated royalty as well
Exactly.
for that.
So
That's
no,
amazing.
AI is a bad example because that was piracy.
Lovely gentlemen.
Smart contracts or
yeah, but if they are,
Contracts.
but if they would
they
have
need to
used
take rights.
Lovely. You
So
wanted to say something?
what would be an ideal system, like if we are dealing in Web3, if we go ahead with the Web3, if we are dealing with our songs directly to the customers, does it mean we don't need Madverse, who's a distributor? I don't think so. I think we need both. We'll need Madverse to do the heavy lifting, like that's for the masses. And what I feel what we can do with Web3 is to create specific stuff which is like a collector's item kind of a thing, which can be only dealt in that. Then there is no option of other currencies
Other
in that.
currencies.
That's how I think we can push the fans to even go deeper into it.
Fantastic. I think such an insightful and such a meaningful conversation in such a short time. Okay, you have a question.
So I think while I agree with my respectful panelists, so we are actually tokenizing songs and helping musicians to now raise money using Web3. So I think that's a very practical application, wherein we are enabling musicians like Shankar Mahadevan, Arijit Singh. These are coming on our platform very soon, and they are doing new projects, and they will be raising money using Web3, wherein the people, the fans, can actually become investors in the songs and also get IP rights and profit sharing of the songs with them. So I think that's a very practical use of Web3 now. The age of NFTs being sold as collector items, being sold as vanity items has ended. Everyone wants value, and I think that's the reason why NFT ended, because no one was getting actual value out of it. But what is now happening, the next phase of Web3 is wherein the NFT will actually have a value of that song, all of that content, and that value will be seen as a fan, as an investment, right? And not just as a collector item. I think that is the next phase. I also agree with my fellow panelists saying that how blockchain is enabling better identification, better ownership of the IP, as well as splitting of the IP, right? So there are new protocols coming up as like Story Protocol, KORS Protocol, which are actually doing that. So now if I'm a singer, I can put my song on a Story Protocol. The Story Protocol can split that song into 100 more entities, 100 more parts, and as an independent musician, I can pick up one tune. Let's say if Shankar Mahadevan has a song, I can pick up one tune of Shankar Mahadevan on a blockchain, and I can use that one piece of blockchain, one part of that tune into my song, right? So those are the kind of things I think which Web3 is now enabling. It's the next generation of Web3, which is going to revolutionize music I think, and that's a very, very powerful technology, which is now people are understanding. I think what happened over first 2-3 years was just an experimentation. There was more speculation than a real use case, but now that speculation is dead, thankfully, and now the real use case will emerge out. So
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this. Thank you so much. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. And thank you for gracing us and giving such insightful information. And thank you so much yourself. So, yeah, we wrap up this session over here. And all the best for all of us and for the
Thank you.
future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gayatri, and thank you, panelists. I'll call my colleague Ruchika Chugani to give the token of appreciation to our guests.